A new report shows American workers are more burned out than ever before. 66% say they're now experiencing some form of burnout, but for many, it's because they're doing more on the job. The name for this is called Octo-Hire. And if you're not alone if you're doing that already. Alexa Lorenzo reports.
You saw the job description, applied for it, and got in. Then slowly you start getting questions like, can you do me a favor? Or can you get this done by tomorrow? That's Octo-Hire, the overstressed employee juggling multiple roles with limited time, energy, and resources.
I've kind of had some experience with that in my current job.
It's one of those things where I think people often will kind of complain about that happening.
And often it comes with a shift shock when the reality of the job is nothing like what was promised. A survey found 72% of employees have experienced it.
It should be advertised that, you're going to have a lot more job duties.
While many bosses believe taking on more responsibilities may be the fastest way to move up at work, there are some ways to protect yourself from burnout before you start. First, watch for red flags in the posting. Phrases like wearing multiple hats or a long list of responsibilities for the years of experience required.
I'm done in June with the internship.
During the interview, be sure to ask specific questions regarding the role, salary, and general job expectations throughout the hiring process. Don't settle for vague answers. According to Glassdoor, if you find yourself in an Octo-Hire role, negotiate for a new title or a raise, and clarify whether those extra duties are here to stay. If they are, use the opportunity to build new skills and position yourself as an indispensable part of the team. Alexa Lorenzo, WGEM News.